Hello and welcome to the DJ Force 10 In Conversation podcast, episode 100. Yes, we are on triple figures, finally. And I have a very special guest on this show to celebrate this 100th episode. It is John Lodge, the bass player, singer, songwriter of the legendary Moody Blues. And it was an absolute pleasure speaking to the man who does a lot of charity work. But he has a new album coming out. I'll go on about, I'm just going to talk about the charities in a second. But he's got a new album coming out called B-Yond The Very Best Of, where it is a combination of solo material and Moody Blues songs, some remix, some recorded live, and generally remastered by the man himself rather than a sort of generic producer jumping in on there. But yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to speak to him. He does a lot for a couple of charities, the Variety Club of Great Britain, to sort of go a bit more local on that front. So he does a lot of sort of golf days, stuff like that, raising money. And he's also got a charity of his own, the Sandy Lane Charitable Trust in Barbados, which helps underprivileged children, sort of set them up for the future, give them various, bits and bobs you need to live, the things we take for granted and stuff like that. But yeah, do check those out, and also obviously check out the interview coming up. I want to thank the people who have been listening recently to the run-up of shows that I've had. The feedback's been awesome, so keep that coming. I'm absolutely loving it. It's really helping, honestly. It's making it, worthwhile that people are listening and stuff like that, and actually giving me feedback on it as well. So it's been great, actually, sort of seeing the sort of reach that some of these shows have had just due to the guests that I've got on here, and hopefully that will continue with the more guests that I get. The more reach will get out there, and more people to hear some of the other interviews I've done with bands and maybe discover a few. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to, get people discovering new bands, along with the sort of classic ones that are coming out with stuff as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Still doing my scratch work. We're on day 264 of 365 days of scratch. Do check that out on YouTube and my Instagram channel. That's still going well. I'm doing it every day. Did it in the club last night. It's why my voice is a bit hoarse, by the way. I got a bit carried away DJing last night in Guildford at Reload, and it was a freaking awesome night. I got a little bit carried away on the microphone for one bit and kind of blew my voice out a little bit, but it was all worth it. Just had loads of people dancing, and generally I think they're feeling it today, so it's why I do it. So yeah, I'm not going to keep you much longer because my voice is going. So here it is. This is, like I said, the legendary John Lodge from the equally legendary Moody Blues in conversation with me, DJ Force 10. Enjoy.
Oh, hi Barnaby, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you doing?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for doing this, first and foremost. It goes out on Total Rock radio and my podcast as well. So
fabulous.
So it gets a little coverage here, it gets a bit of coverage over the USA because I used to live over there as well. So I've got a few subscribers over that area of the world as well, because I've just seen you've got a couple of tour dates coming up over there. So
have you? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, cool. Let's get started then, I guess. I'm just going to hit record on the thing here. Excellent. So that's all coming through, and you can obviously hear me and everything, so that's good. Cool. Well, John, thank you very much for joining me today on my show. We're here to talk about your new album that's coming out, B-Yond The Very Best Of, which is obviously a compilation of songs from your repertoire of the past of the Moody Blues and solo career. I was just wanting to find out a bit more about it. I've heard a couple of the songs off it. The live version of I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band, which is fantastic. It was That was one of the songs my dad used to listen to. But no, I just remember like in the car with him, and it was songs from the Moody Blues, Eric Clapton, things like that. That sort of era of music, and it really took me back, to be honest. And it has the live recording is fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. I recorded that at Birmingham Town Hall. I'm from Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back there on my first solo tour and play Birmingham Town Hall. The reason really is because Birmingham Town Hall was an iconic venue where every American rock and roll singer icon played, and I was a Buddy Holly fan, absolutely still is. He was my person, my go-to rock music guy, the guy who showed me how to do what I do today, And I managed to get a ticket when I was 13 to see Buddy Holly's, and I was on the top. First, I was at the front row of the circle looking down on the stage of Buddy Holly and the Crickets.
Oh, amazing.
And I thought that'd be a great place to record a live album, standing on that stage where Buddy Holly was, and looking up probably at another young Johnny Lodge looking down on me, so perhaps someone else will carry on in another generation, be another musician. Who knows?
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I know Birmingham relatively well. I've been up there a few times, played a few shows myself there. And you get some great crowds up there, to be honest.
It's a great music town, and there's so many music artists, so much music has come out of Birmingham. It's incredible when think of the artists, the diversity of the music, from UB40 to Moody Blues to ELO, Stevie Winwood. It just goes on and on. Spencer Davis.
Yeah. And you got obviously Black Sabbath and Judas Priest to sort of hit the other side of the rock and roll spectrum.
And Trapeze, who I managed. I produced a couple of their albums for them. Glenn Hughes and that.
Yeah,
just brilliant music from from that area of England.
Yeah, definitely. So what was your it's a weird question. What was your inspiration going back and re-recording some of these classic songs?
Well, it all came together in lots of different parts of a jigsaw in a way. Last year there was a movie came out called Private Lives, and they featured a song of mine called Say You Love Me. And I hadn't really given any more thought to that song, to be honest, because I'd recorded during the 70s. And it came out in the movies, and I started to think about that song. And at the same time, I just finished a cruise with Yes, called Cruise to the Edge out of Florida through the Caribbean. And they invited to go on a tour of the summer called the Royal Affair Tour with Yes, Asia, Carl Palmer, and The Amazing World of Arthur Brown.
Oh, nice.
And so that was another part of the jigsaw came together. And then I met a guy called Hartwig, who was president of BMG Records. And I suddenly met someone in the recording industry who was a real music man. And I got excited again because, to be honest, over the last 10 years, I haven't met anyone in the music industry who are real music people. I haven't met those people. They may exist, but I haven't met them. But I suddenly met him, and we started talking, and he asked me if I'd be interested to go with BMG, and I said, yeah, of course I would. And we thought about how we'd best do it, and I thought, well, perhaps the best way really is to bring an audience up to date of who John Lodge is, spreading over the years of the Moody Blues and John Lodge as a solo artist. And so that's what I did. And I thought, I started thinking about Say You Love Me. So I went back into the studios and I found all the original 24-track recordings
of
the album Natural Avenue. And so I baked all the recordings and then digitized everything. And went back in the studio and remixed the songs in like a 2019 manner. I just wanted to sound like they'd been recorded in 2019. But the most important thing to me on the remixes was they had to have that same emotion that I had, and the same, commitment from the musicians, people like Kenny Jones and Chris Spedding. I'd really wanted their emotion when they were playing those songs to come across today. That's why I remixed them, not remade them.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure like everyone else, sometimes you're listening to a record or a recording of an artist that you like, and you realise it's not the original recording, it's a remake, and it's not what I'm to hear, So.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, obviously, having the originals to pull from as well, that's something obviously that a lot of artists have been hit with recently because of the big fire in the States at the Universal.
I know. It really worried me, and but fortunately, because we've been independent from most people all our lives, we've got our own store with all our tapes and all our recordings in, and I don't think anything was there at Universal. I hope not.
Yeah, I say it's no, that's amazing because a lot of artists don't. I mean, obviously you get like remastered versions of, but often they're just taken from an already mixed recording and just sort of brightened up a little bit using the technology we have today.
Yeah, and the other thing for me is what was really important. I've heard a lot of remixes. I've heard some remasters of the Moody's come out, and I'm thinking, who remastered that? It wasn't me, because it doesn't sound right anymore.
Yeah,
and a lot of the remasters I just don't like, and I think. Also, I think when you get remixes, it's never remixed by the people who made the music in the first place. It's someone's interpretation of that mix, and it's never right. I've never heard a remix other than if the artist has remixed it themselves or the producer,
Yeah.
And so remastering, most people go back to the CD and remaster the CD and release that as a remaster. And going back to the original tapes, who's going to really look for those original masters? Very few people.
Yeah, and not a lot of. I'm guessing that a lot of places have the old technology, if you will, to bring those to a digital sort of point. Obviously, there are places out there, but I would have thought they're few and far between. Just judging. And also,
and also, you've got to understand how those tapes were made, how those recordings were made. Some of our earliest recordings had no the Dolby sound system or DBX.
Yeah,
we used to think. I have no idea how they did this. It was the technical part of the Decca Record Company. They used to do a thing called stretching the tape, and I don't know whether that was a physical thing or just a word they used, but it was like pre-Dolby. To get rid of the hiss.
Oh wow! I didn't know that had a name. I was originally taught sound production using reel-to-reels, so I know what they look like. I know how they work, but I've never heard the term stretching the tape before, so I've learned something today.
Yeah. It was a fascinating time because we recorded our first album with an orchestra on 4 tracks.
Oh wow!
But when you went from 4 tracks, we went to another 4-track machine. But we had to mix those 4 tracks into 2.
Yeah.
And as you go down to take those tracks down to 2 tracks, you're adding hiss and degeneration. So you have to be really careful, because you could end up with something. Although it's the same recording, it's degenerated, you've lost the high frequencies and the low frequencies, and, the hiss increases. But it was a great learning curve at that time with the technicians at the Decca Record Studio.
Awesome. No, that's awesome. I love that process of like how it was done. The sort of, because like obviously now we're spoiled for the sort of technology that we have at our fingertips and at the price that we can get it at. and the quality that it can come out at as well. It's all very very clean in some respects. But back then, when you think about when I think about what they had to do in order to get more than 2 tracks or 4 tracks at the same time, like you say, you just had to keep recording down, mixing down and recording, mixing down and recording, and hope, try not to lose the quality each time you do it. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, when quad tapes came out, they wanted to release Days of Future Past on quad, which they did. And when we told them, it's only on 4 tracks anyway. So you've got 1 track to the left, 1 to the right, 1 to the back left, 1 to the back right. Full stop.
Yeah. Cool. So you've got, I mentioned, I think before we started, you've got a couple of US dates coming up in November. Is that a solo tour, or is that with, because obviously, like you said, you went out with Yes and Carl Palmer and Asia. Is this a solo run?
Yeah, this is a short solo run just to coincide with the album. One of the areas we didn't cover on the Royal Affair tour with Yes during the summer was the Midwest in the USA.
Okay.
And so I said I'd like to go back to the Midwest with my tour and my songs, and that's what we're doing. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's in November to coincide with the release of the album.
Excellent. And
then I'm touring in the States in February, March next year, and a rock and romance cruise with Don Felder, America and Trick. So I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent. I was going to mention that cruise because I love that this is a thing now, where you get these like rolling or floating festivals. I think that they are, because I've been on a couple of cruises myself in the past, and they're very leisurely, very kind of relaxing, and it's all very, everything's on cue for you. But I've never been on a music cruise, if you will.
A music cruise is just something totally different to anything you could experience about cruising, because you've got music playing non-stop, and you do in the theatres. You've got bands playing in the theatres. The stage area is all covered over, so there's no swimming pools and all that thing. But it's an outdoor festival stage, so you feel as though you're outdoors in a festival somewhere, wherever you are in the world, And then in the bars, you got bands playing, and it's just an amazing. And you've got interviews, you've got Q&As going on, and it's 7 days of music. It's a real more personal festival because you're up close to the artists you want to see,
Yeah.
And it's a really great experience. Anybody who's not experienced it, go do it, because you will really like it. I think it's the future of festivals, music festivals, because it's just a great experience.
Yeah, it's an all-in-one package as well, because obviously, like I said, I've been on cruises before, like not music ones, but you get everything included. You can get your food included. You get it's like all expenses paid, if you will.
It's
that with your favourite kind of like artists on board as well, playing shows and whatnot, and like you say, Q&As and everything. It's all there. So yeah, it is. It's a completely different experience.
and also, what's really good, as I said, because there's outdoor stages, there's the theatres, there's the bars, there's the lounge, there's all these different places. So you can see the artists in different environments,
Yeah.
You can be up close to someone who's perhaps doing a solo event, really up close in a bar listening to him, and instead of on a huge stage, and the only chance you've seen him is on the screen that's by the side of the stage, So, it's a different event altogether.
Cool. So taking it back a little bit to the Royal Affair tour, how was that in the US with Yes, Asia and whatnot? How was that? How was it received?
It was received really well. We did 30 cities across America, and it was great because it was all sort of prog rock and everything, and it was really, I had a great time, and I think the audience had a great time. All the artists, yes, the Asia we all got together. It was great. And, in fact, for my encore, I do a song called Ride My Seesaw. And John Davison from Yes, their singer, came on and joined me for that encore.
Oh, amazing.
And at the very end of the tour, Yes, for one of their encore songs, was Imagine. And I joined them on stage for Imagine. So it was a great affair, It was just a brilliant time.
Amazing.
I hope he continue. I hope he continues. I'd really like that Royal Affair to come to the UK.
I was going to say, did it even hit? Because I didn't see anything about it. I was going to ask if it hit the UK, but obviously it didn't.
Well, it may do. It's a Live Nation tour of America.
Okay.
And maybe, but Yes are obviously the headline act on that, and they have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Of where they want to appear, before you can put anything else together. And perhaps if Yes wanted to tour in the UK, it'll be the Royal Affair tour, and it'd be great to be on that. It was really. I think the British audiences would love it. I really do, because there was some magic that happened, and it was the other thing which was really good about the tour, and people forget about this. It was seamless. In actual fact, when Carl Palmer went on, it took his applause, and as he walked off, basically we were then coming on and performing. And then when I took my applause, Asia came on, and it was seamless. And so there was no hanging round waiting for the next act to set up and everything else. The crew really got it together. So. Well done to the crew on that tour.
Nice. That's what I've noticed that with a couple of more recent shows, especially with sort of more classic artists like yourself and things, that the changeover between the bands, like you say, is seamless. It's very quick as well. So there's very little downtime, which I really like that, because I was in a band for, I think I mentioned this, I was in a band for many years, but I was, there's always that hanging around moment between when that band finishes and you're on.
Yeah,
and you're waiting for them to pack down for you to then pack on, and then and there's always that 15, 20, 25 minutes depending on.
The audience. If I was in the audience, I'd get restless.
Yeah,
and that's when people go, "Oh, let's go and have a drink, or let's go and buy some merchandise, or let's wander off and say hello to our friends over there." But because it was seamless, the audience just stayed there, and it was a long show. It was 4 hours. We were starting some nights at 6:30 in the evening, So it was a long concert, and well done to the audience for sitting there, for being there that long. But
no, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, John, I'm not going to keep you much longer. I've got a couple of questions left, if this is all right. These are sort of my sort of roundup questions, if you will, that I do ask most of the people that I speak to. But let's crack on with it. What is one for you? It might be I don't know how difficult this one's going to be, but what are your top 3 albums that kind of sum up the person that you are, or musician that you are?
Oh dear, that's a good one. Okay, first one would be Chirping Crickets, Buddy Holly.
Nice.
Because Buddy Holly to me was the icon. He was my peer. He was the person that up until Buddy Holly, everyone. All the American rock and roll greats were all these iconic people who British people can't be. We can't be Little Richard, Gene Vincent, Elvis Presley. We just couldn't. We could be a copy, but we could never be those people.
Yeah.
But Buddy Holly came along with a guitar suit and even a dicky bow, black tie, and started singing these songs, and it just blew me away. I learned every Buddy Holly song, and I thought, this is how I can do. This is how British rockers could start doing it, And so, Chirping Crickets, any Bob Dylan album,
okay,
Highway 6, any Nashville Skyline, Nashville Skyline, okay. I'll say Nashville Skyline only because we did the Isle of Wight Festival with Dylan.
Ooh, nice.
And I think that was 1969 with the Bob Dylan Festival. And that album came out that year. So I'd say Nashville Skyline because it was a wonderful time for British and American music crossing the Atlantic. Also, people forget it was also crossing European borders.
Yeah.
And there were so many Europeans that made their way across to the Isle of Wight. So that was important. And the third album, well, I don't know. How about Imagine? Just because I'll be doing Imagine on stage.
Yeah.
Excellent. With Yes, and some great songs on that album.
Yeah.
Jealous Guy. One of the, there's a beautiful string arrangement on that. People listen to it and listen to the end of that album, end of that song. Yeah.
Excellent.
Those three.
Cool. Thank you for that. And do you have any hobbies or passions away from the music?
Yeah, golf.
Cool.
Yeah, golf has been really good for me. I've been a member of the Variety Club. I've actually captained the Variety Club golf team.
Nice.
And it's took me around the world as well. For anybody who's a golfer out there, I captained England against Arnold Palmer's team at Bay Hill.
Oh, wow.
That was wonderful. But what I've been really pleased about golf is it's the variety, it's the charitable side of it.
Yeah.
And I've been really, really pleased that we've been able to buy so many coaches, buses for disabled and disadvantaged children,
Amazing.
and it's given them. And so golf has been really good from that point of view. And, may well it continue.
Yeah, no, definitely. Golf is one of my pastimes as well. Actually, I'm staring at my golf clubs right now when you said that. They're in my studio with me. But my brother is a former pro as well. He used to play on the European tours.
Oh, friend, what's his name?
His name's Elliot Wattingham.
Yeah.
He doesn't play anymore, unfortunately. But he plays as an amateur now, and he actually organises golf days.
Oh, fantastic!
Like for charities and things like that. So he does a lot of that in the sort of local area to where I am. I'm in Surrey at the moment, so he's down in Worthing now, but he was organising things at various golf clubs around the area.
Well, if you want me to go and play, if I'm around, I'll go and play anything for charity golf tournaments.
Okay.
I have a few charities. I've had one in Spain for many years.
Yeah,
building a hospice out there. I've got a charity in Barbados I work with, and golf tournaments, and the Variety Club, of course. And it's been great because it's opened up another door. And I found as well when I've been writing songs, if I've got stuck on an idea or stuck on an arrangement, golf is a Zen sport, and you have to really focus on it. And sometimes when you focus on something else, which is totally diverse to what you're doing, you get a eureka moment, and you go, "Oh, I know how to do that song, or I know how to do that arrangement." And normally I pack my clubs up and come straight home and get on with it.
Yeah, no, definitely, because it's what they say. It's 90% in your head and then 10% mental. A game of golf.
That's right. Absolutely.
But yeah, no, definitely. I have the same thing. Like I have another part of cooking. I love cooking, and I have to listen to if I'm concocting something, I have to have like jazz or like progressive rock on in the background. Just to occupy that sort of chaos part of my mind, I think it is. Yeah. Just to sort of so I can keep the sort of methodical part on the actual cooking side of things. Otherwise, everything would just go in the pan.
Yeah,
and it'll get mixed up. And it's just exactly, exactly. Like one more question, and I'll let you get on with the rest of your day. Is there any bands out there right now that you are listening to, or want to give a shout? Any sort of bands, like new bands, anything like that?
To be honest, and I don't really want to say the answer's no. I don't mean that in a way that there's not new bands out there. Yeah. But I will go anywhere where there's live music playing. I just love live music. And when I'm traveling, if someone says to me, "There's a great band playing there," I'll go and see them. I was somewhere the other day, and someone said, "Go and see this band. There's only 3 of them, but the keyboard player, it does all the singing. Looks like heavy rock metal guy, but he plays the bass on the left-hand side, but sings as well in a different tempo."
Oh.
And this guy was just brilliant. And I went to see him 4 nights in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Live music to me, because it's very difficult now. I think when I was growing up, we had the opportunity of great record companies, and you could buy an album and listen to a band and say, "Yeah, I really love that." But that opportunity doesn't exist now. There seems to be like 4 artists that command all the attention of everyone.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are 4 artists that I'm not really, that don't hit my emotional level, either from a rock and roll side or from a lyric side or anything else. And so the only way to listen to great music now is go and see live bands, live artists.
No, definitely. I can agree with that totally. Awesome. John, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
Answering my questions and whatnot. I'll have a chat with my brother about the golf side of things.
Yeah.
He's got planning if there's anything coming up. Where are you in Birmingham? Are you around there?
No, I'm in Surrey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, sorry, so it works pretty well.
That does work pretty well. Didn't realise that. That's cool. All right. Yeah, I will reach out to him because I know he's got a couple of days he's kind of like penciling out at the moment. Yeah, I'll let him know. And what's the best way of reaching you? Would it be this?
Just on this number.
On this
always
number? Okay, cool.
Yeah, texting is always the best way to
text.
Get me.
Okay, cool. I will let him know. And and hopefully he'll be in touch and you guys can work something out, and I'll probably play as well, which would be nice. So
yeah, come along and play. Have some fun.
Excellent. Just one other thing. What are the name of your charities? Because I'll give them a shout out on the podcast and radio as well.
One is called the best one is the Sandy Lane Charitable Trust, and that's in Barbados.
Okay.
And we built a Sunshine Village out there. For children, it's just children. You got to give children a chance in life, and that's more. If you give them a chance, they will come back and they will become people in their own right, and developers. It's important, and that's really the main one. And the other one, of course, is the Variety Club of Great Britain, Sunshine Coaches.
Okay. Cool. That's Variety Club, Great Britain. Cool. Awesome. I will note that down in my I'll give it a shout out in the actual podcast.
Okay, brilliant.
So that'll get a shout out in there, and hopefully get something from
you.
It. But yeah, again, John, thank you very much. Good luck with the tour of the States and the album.
Thank you very much,
and
thank you for the interview. Good luck.
All right.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.